Yeah, keep on walking, Peg.
Keep on walking, beta mouth, fucking queen.
People can be pretty mean online, can't they? May it be in an internet forum or an online game, it's only a matter of time before you find people insulting each other with some of the most colorful language you can imagine. And that's basically how it's always been.
Is this person calling me a dumb slur?
Yeah, but does that bother you?
People have come to just accept that nowadays, but should we? That's essentially what today's episode, Hated in the Nation, focuses on. But before we get into that, let's recap the plot real quick. It's been a while. Hated in the Nation is primarily a detective story. We follow two detectives, Karen and Blue, who are investigating murders associated with an online unpopularity contest called #Death2. The way it works is that on the end of each day, whoever gets the most votes is brutally murdered. The quickest way I could describe this would be Death Note if the person who died was decided by popular vote, and if instead of dying by heart attack, the person died by robotic bee attack, which sounds really silly now that I'm saying it out loud, but the episode actually does a pretty great job at making the bees feel like a real threat. These things are legitimately terrifying. Regardless, today's episode is also a bit, well, packed. Hated in the Nation commentates on the ethicality of government surveillance, our over-reliance in technology, the very real threat of the extinction of animals which are essential for the sustainability of life. But to me, the thing that stood out and interested me the most was Hated in the Nation's critique of outrage culture. Outrage culture, or mob mentality, has been a rapidly growing dilemma these past few years. The internet becomes outraged about something practically every single day. People from all walks of life are sent countless insults and death threats because they did or said something which the public deemed as offensive or unacceptable. It can be something as petty as old tweets, a prom dress, or in the case of the episode, an insensitive article or a disrespectful selfie.
Nice work, Clara.
And here's where things get a tad blurry, basically. Now, while I wholeheartedly sympathize with the victims of online abuse, at the same time, I also find it very difficult to fully condemn most of its perpetrators. Like, in my case, whenever anybody tells me something mean online, may it be in a game, Twitter, or whatever, I don't really hold it against them because I know that more times than not, they don't actually mean it. Like, I really don't believe that every single person who posts these hurtful things online does so out of malice or because they get some sick satisfaction out of being mean, but instead because, honestly, a lot of us just don't know any better. Like, in my case, I remember commenting my fair share of pretty douchey things in the past that I've come to regret. For example, there was this one channel that had a tendency to upload pretty infrequently, and this one time when he uploaded a video after not posting for around 4 months, I commented something along the lines of, "Oh, 4 months for this?" You know, a pretty shitty thing to say. But at the same time, I don't remember writing this with the intention of making the dude feel bad. It was more of a spur-of-the-moment type of thing. Like, even though I publicly wrote this on his comment section, it never even crossed my mind that he'd actually read it.
She's behind me, isn't she?
He responded to me in the nicest way possible, and I felt terrible. Essentially, by him responding to me, I snapped back into reality and realized that, as obvious as this might sound, there was another living, breathing person on the other side of the screen. It's actually surprisingly easy to forget that, and I love that the episode actually acknowledges that with the teacher character. While other shows choose to portray these people as losers, trolls, the absolute scum of society, Hated in the Nation instead chooses to depict them the way they actually are. It paints them as everyday people leading regular lives, just like you and me. Like, this lady's a teacher. If you walked past by her on the supermarket, she wouldn't raise any red flags. In her head, she wasn't doing anything wrong.
That's just, it's a hashtag game, you know, like Death2, you insert the name of someone who's been an asshole. It's not real, it's a joke thing.
Hell, I think it's fair to say that most of the people who used the hashtag didn't mean it. To them, it was just a way to take the piss out of someone they disliked. They didn't expect the person they selected to actually die, but then again, even if those weren't their intentions, the question then becomes, does it even matter? Does a person's intention negate the consequences of the action? The answer to that is, well, complicated. If we look at this objectively, the fact of the matter is that the teacher and all the people who took part in the Death to hashtag publicly voiced their support for the murder of another human being. That's a fact. Whether they truly meant it could be seen as completely irrelevant. Like, let's look at this from the perspective of Clara Meets, for example. Now, unless you have the mentality of someone like Joe Powers who's become completely desensitized to this whole thing, there's no way you can look at all the seemingly endless pages of insults and death threats you're getting and not think that it's at least partially genuine. Because it's just written text on a screen, it's also pretty hard to tell what is and isn't a legitimately hate-fueled message.
Like I said, whatever.
Like I said, whatever? Fuck this guy!
However, on the other hand, it's also possible to dismiss all the hate she got as justifiable. She desecrated a war memorial after all, and yeah, I agree that that's not a particularly nice thing to do, but I think there's just better ways to communicate that than just tweeting an insult at her and wishing for her death. So, am I implying that we should all try to be more sympathetic to the next person who's exposed as a horrible racist or a literal rapist? Frankly, I don't know, dude. Like, I feel that it's easy to fully demonize online outrage culture when it's targeting something you don't have an attachment to or find silly. When it's stuff you actually care about, then that's a whole other story. As an example, last year, after the passing of Total Biscuit, there were a lot of just horrible, slanderous articles coming out about him, and there was a big pushback from the community towards them. A pushback which I saw as fully justifiable, but now, after seeing this episode, I don't know anymore. I mean, is it okay to say that outrage culture is okay in some situations, but not in others? Isn't that kinda hypocritical? Again, I really don't know how I feel about this, and I think the episode also has a similar stance. It portrays everyone involved as victims, but also as assailants. At the end of the day, I think the purpose of the episode wasn't to preach any one stance, but instead just to shine a spotlight on a controversial part of our society. So yeah, at the end of the day, like, all this build-up, and all I can say is, I don't know. So yeah. Oh, I suck at this.
How do I get it back?